Dear students, this is the second part of the chapter Indigo. I told you in the first video that Gandhiji arrived at Champaran at the time when the peasants of Champaran were demanding their money back because they felt that they were cheated by the British planters. So when Gandhiji arrived at Champaran, he decided to gather the facts. For this, he visited the secretary of the British Landlords Association. The secretary did not answer him because he told that they could not give any information to an outsider. After this, Gandhiji went to the commissioner of Tirhut division. Champaran district was under Tirhut division. The commissioner not only threatened Gandhi but also suggested him to leave Tirhut immediately. Though Gandhiji was threatened by the commissioner, he did not leave the place. He then went to Motihari, which was the capital of Champaran. He was joined by several lawyers. When they reached the station, they were welcomed by a large number of people. Multitude is used here. Large number of people. He then went to a house which was later converted into his headquarters. He started his inquiry into the matter. Gandhiji decided to visit a nearby village when he came to know about an incident of ill treatment with a peasant. He was on his way on an elephant when the superintendent's supervisor messenger stopped him and ordered him to return back to the town. Gandhiji followed him and the messenger took him back to his home. He was then served a notice which ordered him to quit his movement and return back. Gandhiji received the notice and signed a receipt on which he wrote that he would not obey the order. In consequence, Gandhiji received the summons to appear in the court next day. Gandhiji was not able to sleep the whole night. He telegraphed Rajendra Prasad and asked him to come to Bihar and get some powerful people along. He sent some guidelines to the ashram and also telegraphed the whole matter to the viceroy. Next morning, Motihari was full of pigeons as they wanted to support Gandhi. None of them knew about his works in South Africa. They only knew that there was a Mahatma who wanted to help them and was in trouble due to the officials. They started gathering in front of the courthouse. This incident was their attempt of setting themselves free from the fear of British. As the crowd had gathered in front of the court building, it became difficult for the officers to control the mob. They had to take Gandhiji's help to regulate the crowd. Gandhi politely told the officials that if they would misuse their power, then there were chances that they would have to face a revolt from the Indians. As the situation was getting tougher, the lawyer requested the court to postpone the trial by some days. The authorities decided to first consult the higher authorities. Gandhiji objected against the delay in the proceedings of the case. He read a statement in front of the court in which he accepted his fault in a very humble manner. He said that he was not a lawbreaker and did not want to go against the law, but his duty towards humanity has a greater influence on him and it forced him to do so. He refused to leave the town because he wanted to help the sharecroppers as it was his moral duty. The magistrate asked him to arrange for bail because he was going to give his judgment after the 2 hours long break. Gandhiji refused to seek bail and later on he was released without it. When the court proceedings restarted, the judge refused to deliver any judgment for many days to come. He allowed Gandhiji to remain free. Some well-known lawyers like Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu and Maulana Mazharul Haq came from Bihar to help and advise Gandhiji. Gandhi asked that If he was sentenced to jail, then what would be their course of action? One senior lawyer replied that they were there to help him out, and if he was sentenced to jail, then they would return back. When Gandhi came to know about their decision, he asked them to help the sharecroppers who were facing unfairness. Rajendra Prasad and other lawyers concluded that if Gandhi could go to jail for the people of their area, although he was a stranger, then they should also follow him, as they had always claimed to serve the peasants and fought their legal battles too. They decided that if Gandhi went to jail, then they would follow too. On hearing this, Gandhi assured them that their struggle for Champaran's peasants had been won. He divided the group into pairs of two and made a sequence in which they had to voluntarily surrender in the court. After some days, the magistrate sent a letter to Gandhiji in which it was shown that, as per the orders of Deputy Governor, the case against him had been taken back. It was for the first time in modern India that a peaceful protest against the government had been won. Gandhi and other lawyers carried on with an in-depth investigation into the injustice with the farmers. Statements of about 10,000 pigeons were recorded and various documentary proofs were collected. The whole area vibrated with activity, the investigators and the protesting landlords. In June, Gandhi was called up to be present before Deputy Governor Sir Edward Gate. Before meeting him, he met his chief supporters and made plans for civil disobedience. In case he did not return, Gandhi had 4 long interviews with the Deputy Commissioner, which led to the formation of a commission that inquired into indigo sharecroppers' situation. The commission had landlords, government officials, and Gandhi, who was the only spokesperson for the peasants. Gandhiji remained in Champaran for 7 months. He also made several short visits later. His visit on the request of a peasant was presumed to last a few days, but it took a year. The official inquiry did not favor the planters. Hence, they agreed to pay back to the peasants, but they questioned Gandhi regarding the amount to be repaid. The moneylenders had thought that Gandhi would ask for the full payment of the money, which they had taken from the peasants forcefully and fraudulently. But he asked for only 50%, and his decision was firm. A missionary, Reverend J. Z. Hawes, who had a close watch on the matter, reported this. The planters offered to pay only 25%, as they thought it would be rejected by Gandhi. He immediately accepted it. Gandhi said that the amount of money was not important, but by giving money, the planters had bowed down to the peasants and had given away their honor too. The planters, who earlier behaved as if they were above the law, now had to abide by it. This made the peasants realize that their rights and give them courage to fight for them. Events had proven Gandhiji's position. The British planters had to leave their property within the next few years. These properties were returned back to the peasants. Indigo sharecropping soon came to an end. Gandhi was not satisfied by achieving political or economic solutions. He sought to remove the cultural and social backwardness of Champaran. Gandhiji wanted to do something to remove the backwardness in the villages of Champaran. He requested teachers such as Madhav Desai and Narhari Parikh and their wives to teach the villagers. Both of them were followers of Gandhi. Many other volunteers came from Bombay and Pune to join them. Mrs. Gandhi and their youngest son Devdas arrived from the ashram for their help. Primary schools were opened in 6 villages, where Kasturba Bai used to teach the ashram rules on cleanliness and community sanitation. The health conditions of the people of Champaran were very poor, so Gandhi got a doctor who offered his services free of cost for 6 months. There were only three medicines: castor oil, quinine, and sulfur ointment available. A patient with a coated tongue was given castor oil, a malaria patient was served a dose of quinine, and a patient with a skin disorder was given ointment and castor oil. The women of the area used to wear dirty clothes. When Gandhiji tried to know the reason through his wife, he was told that those were the only saris each of the women had. While Gandhiji was in Champaran, he kept a long distance vigil on the ashram. He used to send letters of orders regarding financial matters. Once he wrote to the locals that it was a time to dig new latrines as the old ones had started giving foul smell. The Champaran incident changed Gandhiji's life. He said that he had done a regular thing. He had put his point across that Britishers could not order him in his own country. The Champaran Satyagraha was not an act of opposition. It was an attempt to help out the poor and tortured peasants. This was Gandhiji's way to solve issues. His politics was knitting up with the everyday problems faced by the millions of people. He did not aim at the fulfillment of ideas, rather, he was concerned for the people. The basic idea was to serve humanity and make a free Indian who could stand for his rights. Charles Freer Andrews, who was a peacemaker, visited Gandhi before going on a tour of duty to Fiji Islands. Gandhiji's lawyer friends wanted Andrews to stay at the ashram and help them, but Gandhi refused. He said that they did not need the help of Britishers, as it showed a lack of trust in their own abilities. He asked them not to seek any help from Mr. Andrews, as he was an Englishman. Rajendra Prasad later on stated that Gandhiji had read their thoughts and his reply served as a lesson of self-sufficiency for them. Being self-dependent, free, and helping the peasants, all these acts of Gandhi were interconnected. Thanks for watching video. Have a nice day. Thank you.